Guys, it's sweaty. I mean, I'm sweating because it's hot. It's hot as hell. Like, for real. Like, I really don't understand what's going on. I mean, it's 96 degrees and I'm inside of a black car. And I'm black, so you know what's going. It's a recipe for disaster, you know. Anyways, this is moral of the story, and boy, do I have a story to tell you guys about Austin Mcbroom. I am on my way home to film this video, and it's gonna be like a blast from the past. I think I'm gonna start a series on my channel called Blast from the Past of just stuff that happened like years ago or a year ago, or maybe even like a couple months ago. I don't know, but this was going to be about Austin Mcbroom supposedly like R-wording some girls, because simply I just never really hear people talk about this enough, especially when they bring up like problematic things that the Ace family has done and Austin Mcbroom has done. I always see this go under the radar, and I don't know if it's just because I'm not up to date about something and it's just not a reason to talk about it. But I'm going to do some research, and you're going to see me probably a little bit later tonight with that research done, ready to go in on this man, because this man with 2 hairlines, by the way, needs to be called out. All right, but I gotta go because the light's about to turn green and there's a police officer. You already know these type of times I can't be messing around. Okay, all right, I gotta go. All right, I'm back. And first of all, Twitter is so toxic, okay? Anyways, so I did my research on this Austin Mcbroom story. Supposedly being a R-word-ist. Trying not to get demonetized, even though I'm not monetized yet. You know, you're trying to get ahead of the game. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there one day. But anyway, so there's just so much to YouTube drama. So not that I was out of the loop with the story, not at all. I did hear about the story. It's a long time ago, but I didn't, I guess, do follow-ups, and I didn't know who the hell a Cole Carrigan was. Still don't really know who he is. Just know he's like one of those beauty gurus, so there's probably more to his story and his lore than I already know. Okay, but yeah, so apparently he is the person who released this video that talks all about this Austin Mcbroom story, supposedly sexually assaulting some girls, him and his crew, and some trip to Miami. Okay. So if you don't know the story, it starts off, I want to say back in 2019, I think this was. But it's pretty much about Austin inviting like a group of girls to his trip in Miami with his dad was there, a couple of his friends from basketball years, and his crew, of course, security guards and whatnot. And after like a long day of day drinking, 2 of the girls go back to the hotel room to shower. And while they're undressed, Austin Mcbroom comes in, starts to touch on them. Some of his friends starts to come in and do the same. And then later on down the line, his dad starts to walk in and sexually assaults one of the girls. And before she starts like screaming, no, no, and whatnot, he was sexually assaulting her. And then as she was getting more, you know, traumatized and things started to escalate, they rush out. And that's that on what happened that night. Girls were totally traumatized, whatnot. And one of the girls so happens to be this Cole Carrigan figure's friend. Calls her that night. Doesn't really go into detail about what's going on. That's what I've gotten from the story. Apparently, that's what Cole said. And then years later, he gets like some screenshots and like figures out it was about Austin and talks to her about it again. And she was very hesitant about coming out. She doesn't want to really talk about it. Doesn't want any type of like attention going towards her because of this drama and all this kind of stuff. Because the internet's, you know, a shit show, really. Fast forward to him actually going against what his friend said. He releases this video. And he goes on and says something like this.
Obviously, living in LA and being in the scene, you see a lot of things behind closed doors that you don't see on camera. It was kind of weird that Catherine wasn't at Austin's birthday party. I thought it was weird that I saw him out at clubs multiple times without Catherine, that's none of my business, whatever. Not that big of a deal. So a few months ago, June 22nd to be exact, I was still living in the Team 10 house and I got a call from one of my good friends. She was hysterically crying. I've never heard anyone feel so distraught in my life. I was so scared, and she began to explain to me that she was in Miami with Austin Mcbroom and a bunch of other people, including his assistant, his dad, security guards, other girls. XYZ happened. I'll get into that. So when I saw this tweet going around of Austin and Catherine working in a restaurant or whatever, I saw a lot of people's reactions and how upset people were because they thought that they were some perfect, happy family. I thought this whole time that everybody knew that it was bullshit and a lie. That's why I kind of just stayed in my own lane and kept quiet about this whole situation. But once I saw people coming forward after my tweet and DMing me about their personal experience with Austin, I knew that this probably has happened more than once, and if no one comes forward about it, it will happen again. So obviously my tweet got a lot of attention, and someone from Austin Mcbroom's team actually texted my friend that this happened to. I'll put the screenshot right here. Basically saying that we should be careful and shouldn't go any farther than what we're already doing to avoid legal action. And I proceeded to tell her, they're just trying to scare you. I just went through this exact same thing, so I'm not scared. I also did sign an NDA, and I also don't tolerate the shit that has happened to my friend. So with that being said, I told her to ignore that message because what needs to be said is going to be said regardless, and if I need to say it, I'll do it because I didn't sign an NDA. Come arrest me. So,
and pretty much he goes into detail about the story. He has one of his friends or someone who was there to call in and actually give in detail themselves to kind of like prove his point and prove the story even more.
Well, we docked up back at the rental house that we were all staying at, and then everyone went in their rooms to shower and change. So that's what me and my friend did. We went into our room, and mind you, me and my friend are pretty drunk, not to the point where we can't remember anything, but so we start taking our bathing suits off, and we turn the shower on, and we're both naked. And all of a sudden, I hear the door open, and it's Austin Mcbroom. And he's just like, oh, hey, like, what are you guys doing? You know, like, just being really flirty. And then he, like, comes and starts, like, rubbing on my arm and then just talking to us. And then before I know it, one of his, like, basketball player friends comes in the room, too, and is, like, trying to do the same thing, touching us. As we're naked, we're literally naked, and, you know, we're not, like, pushing them off, because we're so drunk, we're really not even capable of, like, pushing them off of us. But the next thing I remember is, unfortunately, being on the bed, and his NBA player friend was having sex with me. I don't ever remember giving him consent to. The next thing I remember is looking up, and Austin's dad, Alan, is there, and I am seeing him unbuckle his pants, pull down his pants, and pull out his penis in front of my face, basically wanting me to suck his penis. I remember that I did not, because Austin's security guard ended up walking in after the dad walked in, and at that point, I remember just getting up from the bed and walking into the bathroom to see what was up to, and all of a sudden I hear her yelling no and screaming and crying, and all of the guys start rushing out of the room because my friend is literally hysterical crying, sobbing, and she's just sitting in the shower. And then after that, we just got in bed and we were just crying for the rest of the night. We didn't come out of our room for hours. We were disgusted, ashamed. Like, we were in the dark the rest of the night. We couldn't even get up. So when I finally got up to turn on the lights, I realized that there was blood all over the bed, and neither of us had our periods.
Now, when I was watching this, I'm not gonna lie, eyebrows were raised. Questions were asked, okay? I'm not saying it's not believe all victims, but I'm not saying, I'm not gonna even go that way. I'm not saying it's not believe all victims. I'm not saying, don't believe when someone is telling their story. But there are a lot, actually, you know what, I am going to go there. But there are a lot of people who will do things for clout. There are a lot of people who will do things to get money, okay? We just came out of a whole trial with Amber Heard, all right? We saw that right through that girl, Amber Heard. No, my mistake. I did not mean to mispronunciate her name, my bad. But, and then there's stuff with like Trisha Paytas, okay? So we've seen people who have come out about sexual assault stories and we're not true. We're not telling truthful stories, okay? So it does happen, and it's a possibility that you have to think in any case. But usually, more often than not, I want to believe someone's story if they're coming out and genuinely saying it and genuinely, trying to get their point across and their story out there. But the problem with this one is the girl didn't even come out with her story. She didn't even want to. And even after this Cole guy released the video, she released something else rebutting it. Okay? So, but before I even knew all of that, before I dove deeper into that, I was even questioning what was going on because, yeah, he had screenshots and he had someone call in and tell the story. But first of all, screenshots can be fabricated. If you saw the D'Angelo Wallace video, he even said this in the beginning of his video. I loved his video, by the way. He did it very well. He had these screenshot of a DM between him and Cole having this conversation about the video, and it was all photoshopped. And I think the intro to that was phenomenal because, yeah, you can Photoshop anything. Doesn't mean that it's not true. Doesn't mean that the story is not true, but you just never know, right? So it wasn't even about the screenshots. It wasn't even about the person calling in. It was just simply something about it just didn't seem that genuine. Okay, because multiple times in his video, he was talking about how his friend didn't want to come out. He was talking about, what did he say? He said he was just trying to it was against his morals, right? If he didn't come out and say something. Okay, so it was almost like he was admitting that his friend didn't want to say anything, but he was going to say something anyways. Oh, he said that I was trying to make her feel as comfortable as possible. Okay, I'm trying to get my friend to come out and speak about this so we can write a story about this and get money. So I'm trying to make her feel as comfortable as possible.
I immediately called my friend and told her that he was paid off $500,000 to keep quiet about the situation and that I needed to come forward. Obviously, she was really hesitant about this because that would lead to more information about her being put out there. If she didn't want to do this, she didn't have to, and I wanted to make her feel as comfortable as possible, but she agreed that the truth needed to come out, and if this happened before, Austin will do it again. Side note, the reason why I am filming this for my friends is because just like every other girl that this has happened to, they're afraid to come forward, and I would be too if I was a victim in this type of situation. It can be really scary dealing with
No. There's no need for that. If she doesn't want to come out and tell her story, she should not have to come out and do anything. And you should definitely not do anything, right? So this is my thought process as I'm watching this. Come to find out, as I'm doing more research, that was the whole drama behind this whole entire video. Apparently everyone saw exactly what I was seeing in this video, which is kind of crazy. But so apparently also the friend that he was talking about that got R-worded by Austin's father comes out and disclaims everything, says that it wasn't his story to tell, says that it wasn't his place, and that she was trying to say that Austin did not do any of those things, which basically pretty much by the story that was told in Cole's video, there was in no way, shape, or form any indication, any real indication that Austin did anything to that extent, right? Not saying that Austin McBroom is not a cheater. When I say Austin McBroom is definitely a cheater, I think we can all agree on that. But I know somebody personally that has been invited to his after party from whenever he was doing the fight that he just recently paid all the fighters for, after the lawsuit. Yeah, there was a party that all the VIPs got invited to. That was their tag. Their tag was VIP. It was an invitation to an after party. And he is definitely a cheater. That's all I'm going to say. All right. According to my friend. And my friend doesn't really, she's not in the YouTube drama. She's not in the YouTube space. She doesn't really care that much about drama of YouTube. She just was familiar with certain content creators. She was really more familiar with the TikTokers that were there. She was there more for the TikTokers rather than Austin McBroom or anything. But of course, if she's getting invited to an after party with a bunch of famous creators, who's not going to go? Okay. But anyways, I digress from that. Just saying that we all know what he is, and I can definitely attest through somebody that I know very well. It's also back that up as well. But that's neither here nor there. It's just the fact that Cole really had the balls to come out and tell somebody else's story. And look, I understand that this is something that has already been, talked about over and over again. This was a big thing in 2019. Look, I wasn't that big on YouTube drama in 2019. No, I was still a hardcore Shane Dawson fan in 2019. I'm pretty sure Shane Dawson was still living in his old house in California in 2019, right? With that dusty, musty red wall. Y'all know what I'm talking about. With that, the era that he sold his underwear on eBay. Yeah, that era. Okay. I mean, I was watching Shane Dawson videos every day. Okay, look, I still like Shane Dawson. Still been watching his podcast ever since he came back. But that's another story. Okay, just don't cancel me for that. Okay, but anyways, I'm just saying I wasn't that big on the YouTube drama. I've heard about the Ace family. My sister used to watch them. She was like, young, obviously. And I heard of them. Always thought they were cringe, though. I always thought they were cringe, but that's just me. Not my taste, not my cup of tea. But so I just wasn't really that involved in this type of drama when it happened. I just heard about it very briefly. And I even brought it up to my sister because this is around the time that she was watching it. And I was like, well, did you hear this? And did you hear that? And it also kind of shows the perspective of someone who does watch their channel as a young person and is actually involved in the channel. Because, obviously she was making debates against it, of course. As one would, if you like a YouTuber, if you have someone that you really like and someone is coming out with allegations that look horrible towards them, you're not going to want to believe that. So, it was just a little interesting seeing how it is for someone who actually, used to really like the Ace family. But me, I just was not into it like that and wasn't really into the drama. But I just have to say, not sticking up for Austin McBroom in any way, because we can all tell, obviously the Ace family, I say the Ace family because it's not the kids. It's just Catherine, even though she kind of fine. Catherine and Austin, who are just scammers. We all know this. They're horrible people, scum of the earth. Family channels should be illegal, in my opinion. But not to stick up for him and people like him, I just kind of feel like it was just very out of place and honestly very, very, very misleading. And it's not really just about Austin. It's just about people who do this on the internet, right? Look, I am someone who is willing to sit down and listen to somebody's story. And I'm also someone who also likes drama, okay? Especially if it's about someone that I don't like. So it is very easy to manipulate the crowd, to manipulate the audience, into thinking something that is just strictly straight up false. And because really, when you think about it, people are not doing their due diligence, which I think we all should, but really, it's not even something you really think twice about, right? You're just taking in content. You're just taking in information on YouTube and just assuming for the most part it is true. But it's kind of crazy that we do that. It really is kind of wild that we actually genuinely just sit down and watch a video without doing any research on our own and form an opinion on it. You know, it's kind of scary. So the reason why I decided to do a video about this after doing research and realizing that Austin is not actually an R word, because I just thought it was very problematic that Cole put out that video, and I think it needs to be said that people really need to do their research. You can't believe everything that you see on the internet. And I know that's kind of like a duh, but the fact is we don't actually take that seriously. We really take anything on the internet to be true, okay? And so I just think it really is harmful for people who have a real story to tell with all this rebuttal of things that are false. Or I say false, but it could be very much true. It's just the person who told the story obviously did not have good intentions. He says that he does, but he doesn't, because it was released by the person that he was talking about that he was just doing it for money. So when people do harmful things like this, it really takes the mic away and the voice away from people that have a real story to tell and want to tell it. That's the best way to put it. And honestly, I was just shocked. Because like I said, I wasn't keeping up. I didn't follow up, and I wasn't really keeping up with the whole dynamic around this story and the video that Cole dropped. I was familiar that it was this guy that dropped it, but I didn't really know who he was, and honestly didn't care. See, like, I absorbed information about somebody that I didn't even really know as an influencer, right? That's crazy. And I just took that as it was. Didn't know who he was, didn't know his background. Apparently Cole is like a scammer. I mean, who isn't? But isn't it ironic that a scammer is talking shit about another scammer? It's like, bro, they should get into the ring together. Oh my God. That should be it. Forget that other dude that Austin's about to fight. It should be Cole and Austin Mcbroom, the two scammers. Supposedly, allegedly. I digress. It was just kind of crazy, just following up and looking at this and kind of seeing how problematic stuff like that is and how you really need to fact check and do your due diligence and not believe everything on the internet, even if it's coming from your own favorite creator. Because I fall short on that a lot. And I won't get into that right now. I might make a video about that later. But there's somebody by the name of Ethan Klein that I have done that multiple times, and I love Ethan, okay? But he does kind of say some things that he should do his own fact checked on that isn't 100% true. And I started to pick up on a lot of that. And it just kind of shows that obviously if I'm doing it, a lot of other people are doing it as well. But yeah, I don't know, something to think about. But moral of the story, fact checked. Honestly, do your due diligence and fact checked. Make sure that what you are ingesting and what you are making an opinion about is worth making an opinion about. And don't share it if you haven't done your due diligence. For real. Because it can be very harmful for the people who actually have a story to tell. Yeah. All right. Hope you guys have a good night. See you in the next video. Bye.